What's going on, everyone? Camille here, back with another week of MLS Digest. I'm really glad to have you guys all back for the show, and let's just get right into it. For week 10, we actually had our first non-winning week since the show started. Uh, before that, we had 5 straight winning weeks with some really good profit. And yeah, here we barely lost anything really. So really minimal losing week. We went 2-2-1. And just to start, I guess in order, New York Red Bulls, Vancouver under 2.5. It was honestly a really good game, but both these defenses, we know what they are, and they came through for us. Red Bulls got a red card late, and they were kind of forced to defend even more so, even though they're at home, and that kind of made it even more cagier and secured us that under 2.5. And then Minnesota got out to a 2-0 lead early, then conceded, but they held on for that win, which was pretty straightforward. Sporting Kansas City still just in shambles. And then honestly, one of the most surprising results of the week, our Galaxy team total over 1.5. Galaxy shut out for, I think, the first time this season to an Austin side, which is really shocking. But the game script really didn't go their way. Austin got two early. And, I expected it to be more of a shootout. And that's why I didn't really trust Galaxy to win here. And obviously they lost. But the game script was just completely against them. They gave up two super early. And then Austin decided to just, 11 at the back behind the ball and just force Galaxy to break them down. And Joveljic got ruled out really late in the week, which I don't think most people were expecting, and Miguel Berry as his replacement is just a pitiful striker, to put it lightly. So yeah, they really pretty bad result there. But moving on, Nashville thought they had the edge against San Jose, but they ended up drawing 1-1. Both teams had some really big chances late in the match, so it could have gone either way, but I think it was a fair result. San Jose ended up getting their first point on the road, and then what I was really hoping would take us home and get us over that hump was Atlanta, and that ended up being 0-0 to Chicago on the road. Chicago 0 shots on target, really didn't threaten. Both teams hit the crossbar, and yeah, Chris Brady, man. I mean, I know, I follow their matches closely, obviously, as a fan, and he's just insane. Completely saved that game for them and earned them a point. But, happy with that read, and that's why we took the push protection, because it was still like plus 130 or whatever. Really good value there. But yeah, so not a bad week, really. Basically no harm, no foul, some free entertainment. And yeah, Chelsea won today, got the double over Tottenham for the year. So I'm feeling good, man. Trying to move on and go on to week 11 and keep our really good start to the season going. So I'm going to have 6 plays for this week, actually. So most I think I've ever had in one week in terms of best bets, since that's now, the focus. And for the first one, I'm going with Charlotte and the Timbers. Charlotte at home here. I'm going with the under 3 for minus 122. And yeah, I think that Charlotte isn't really keen in getting in these really like back and forth games, and they don't usually get into shootouts. Timbers, on the other hand, have really been in a bunch of those lately. Kind of just an over machine, so kind of going against that trend here. I saw a stat where they're supposedly the first team in MLS history to score at least 2 goals in 5 straight games and not win any of those games. So it's just pouring in on both ends, but I think there's a lot of factors here that, with this push protection at 3 instead of 2.5 at a pretty decent price, that I like to play. And that includes they have to travel once again. They've been on a bit of a road trip lately. They went to Columbus, then they went back to the West Coast to LAFC. Now they're flying all the way East Coast to Charlotte. So that's kind of taking a toll on them. And Charlotte at home, is always pretty respectable. They're one of the best worst environments for an away team to play at. And besides that last dud to Minnesota where they lost 3-0, they had to lose at some point at home. But before that, they had an insane home unbeaten streak going, and they usually are much tighter at the back at home. And yeah, both these teams are in the bottom half of expected goals on offense, per 90 so far this season. And on the defensive side, Timbers are definitely one of the worst defenses in the league, just, on paper by the numbers and just the eye test. So, it definitely favors Charlotte here because Timbers just haven't been getting results recently, despite even if they score. But Charlotte is in that bottom third of expected goals allowed, so they're definitely more respectable. They have been on 2 losses in a row now. They just lost to NYC, but I'm not that worried here. In terms of their defense, or this becoming more of a trend. I think them coming back at home is really going to help them, and yeah, I just like this push protection here. There's also a really, really good chance that this game gets a lot of rain and some, thunderstorms and whatnot. Based on the weather report, we're kind of closer towards game day at the time of this video than I would usually record or like to record. So that kind of is helping us here. So I think it's more safer to say that the weather conditions are going to affect this. And I like that, for and under. So, yeah, I'm just really liking the situation that both these teams are in. I think Charlotte should probably be favored here, and it obviously is, but should come away with a win. And I don't think this will be a blowout, even if they do win. Next play for the show is between Inter Miami and New York Red Bull, and I'm taking both to score and over 2.5. Just kind of a trend for the show, I guess, but anytime I'm on Miami, it's usually this bet because sometimes they let you down in terms of the result, like earlier in the year. But now they're focusing, completely on the league once again. And yeah, these two teams already met. I think Messi and Suarez were both injured, or at least Messi in the first meeting. Red Bulls completely dominated Miami in that really early matchup this year at home, 4-0. So yeah, Red Bull, one of the best teams in the East for sure. Listen, Miami can score on anyone, like we know. Messi's just having fun out there in recent weeks, ever since they got knocked out of Champions Cup. Him and Suarez should be good to go once again at home. Huge bump, obviously. I'm really not concerned about, either team scoring here. Miami has one of the best or most possession, in the league, or they love to have it. Red Bulls have the least possession on average in the league. So these two teams are really comfortable with the way they're going to be playing here. Miami's going to try and pass them to death. Red Bulls love to press. And Miami can concede to anyone, just like we've seen. So Red Bulls have a lot of talent up front. And yeah, I mean, I just don't really understand how these prices are playable kind of week after week. Because, like even the Revs just scored against them, in the first minute, even though it was just kind of maybe a blip, but it happens. And Red Bulls are a really, really quality side compared to obviously the Revs. So yeah, I don't want to trust either team here. I think Red Bulls could definitely get 3 points here if they go, full force, full strength, and I don't see really any injury issues for either team in terms of the stars, or one of Red Bull's defenders got another red last week. I think, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, that just only helps Miami's cause. But Messi's gonna do Messi things. I think Miami's lineup is strong enough to break this Red Bulls defense down, which has been conceding way more suspect on the road this year. I could think of 2-2 to LAFC. They got 3-0'd by Columbus. So yeah, I mean, this is just a kind of an auto play here, and I'm gonna keep riding it. Third play between the San Jose Earthquakes and LAFC, And notice that this is not the San Jose Earthquake Stadium because it's a special game in a sense because they're actually playing at Levi Stadium where the 49ers play in Santa Clara. So this should be one of those, marquee matchups this week, as we've been seeing week after week kind of in these football stadiums or American football stadiums. And yeah, both these teams are in Cali. I think LAFC fans are going to travel well here. Both these teams fans should be traveling well. Should be a really good environment. So it won't be completely really a home game for San Jose. And yeah, I think that, for an LAFC team that is literally two-faced in terms of, completely different performances between home and away, that can really help them. And just to get to the pick, yeah, as we get into it, over 3 for plus 102. I don't mind both the score and over 2.5. I think the price is decently playable as well, I think. But I'm going to take the plus money here because I think 3 is kind of a given in a matchup like this. San Jose has the worst keeper in the league, giving up the most goals this year so far. They're getting in a lot of barn burners. And LAFC has really been clicking lately in attack. And even on the road, when they haven't gotten the best results recently, they're scoring, contributing to the score sheet and getting at like 1 or 2 and mostly 2. So yeah, this is a type of, Classico or whatever between these two Cali teams. Should be a really good environment. I think there's some chance of like rainfall, but I think it may clear up before the game time. Like it might happen earlier in the day. I think it's like 3 p.m. or something local time that this game starts. But yeah, I just, even with the rain, like these attacks are too good. San Jose's been they just got a draw against Nashville when we had Nashville last week. So I mean, LAFC's attacking numbers are just way too good. They're really clicking, and yeah, I mean, I just see a back and forth game here per usual. We've seen in these stadium games so far that they've really been putting on a show and really been going for it. So it's kind of like a neutral game here in that sense. No one really has an advantage for the crowd, but I think LAFC fans will kind of show out more, even though this is supposed to be considered an Earthquakes game. But yeah, San Jose with a little bit more confidence. I don't think either team should be holding a clean sheet here, even though LAFC has been pretty respectable, honestly. But on the road, they're definitely, or at least just not at home, they're definitely way more prone to some mistakes and stuff. So should be a banger here. I'm definitely confident with the 3 to get the third, and yeah, hopefully I see like 3-1 LAFC here, maybe 3-2 or something like that. Yeah, it should be a really good game as a neutral, and just honestly, I see a lot of potential for a 4th goal as well. So yeah. Next play for the show, I'm taking Whitecaps over Austin -1 at plus 113. Obviously, Vancouver's money line is juiced to hell, and I'm definitely not going to be, just straighting that. But I mean, I just don't see why not here. Take this -1 because this should be a push at worst. Austin FC is going to mail it in and just put 11 behind the ball, which, has worked in some of their road games. But, once again, Austin, the result against Galaxy is, I'm not going to overreact to that or anything. Like, this is still a bad team. They've kind of figured things out more with Driussi back, but it's still, in terms of their output, especially on the road, they're definitely not going to be controlling the game, dictating possession or anything like that. Vancouver's going to just try and break them down, and I think they're comfortable enough doing that, especially at home here. When we took them weeks back against Toronto, which employed that same strategy, it was just a complete blowout, 4-0. And I'm not saying it could be, I'm not saying it will be that, but like, if this gets out of hand early once again, like, then tactics change, and it could. Vancouver is for real, guys. Like, they just went to Red Bulls and got that 1-1 result. Their only two losses are to Galaxy and RSL, which were both at home, but still, those are the other two top dogs in the West right now, besides Vancouver. So, you know, to a lowly team like this at home, like, I don't know. I'm gonna take the plus money here. Vancouver, you know, even besides everything we mentioned, Vancouver is a super solid defensive team, top five in, expected goals allowed. So even if, Austin were to be a little bit more aggressive, which I highly doubt though, but even if they were, like, Vancouver's solid, really, really solid, and aren't going to give much up. So a big part of this too is that Pico just got back from a slight injury from a couple weeks back. He played, I think, like 15, 20 minutes against Red Bull. So I'm not sure if he starts here, but I think he definitely features for at least half an hour or 45, and that makes a difference because he's really helps them with that creativity. And especially if it gets like a little later and maybe say they haven't gotten that first goal yet or are looking for, to pad it. Like, I think that he really helps them with that. But yeah, Vancouver's got killers up top with White and Gauld, and the system's meshing. They're feeling good about themselves at home. Like, I'm really high on this team, so I'm just gonna keep taking them. And yeah, don't trust Austin at all here personally. Fifth play here between NYCFC and the Rapids, and this is kind of an ugly play in terms of the teams here, but I'm taking the situation here in the spot here rather than looking at the teams, even though I've definitely had my say about the Rapids previously. I'm taking them on the double chance, or plus 0.5 for minus 105. So they just need a draw here, and I think it's a really good price. I mean, NYCFC, to their credit, have really turned things around. 5 matches unbeaten, 3 straight wins, all coming at home. They've shut out 2 of their opponents in that span. They beat the Revs 2-0, they beat DC 2-0, then they just beat Charlotte 2-1. So, they're doing the business at home, which is really good. I think 2 of those opponents are pretty, the Revs are horrible. And, the win over DC was really, really good, to their credit. But just flipping over to Rapids, they're 2-2-2 on the road this year, so I think that's a really good return for them. So in 4 out of their 6 matches, they've at least gotten a point on the road. And yeah, I mean, the team's been looking really, really better as of late. They just lost to Cincy, but they've been getting the wins over like less quality teams, so they're kind of separating themselves from that sort of pack. And I don't know. Both these defenses are in the top third of expected goals allowed, so they're really not giving up much. I just kind of, even though the numbers are telling me NYCFC is a little bit better in terms of their production recently, I don't know. I think it's Santi and a dream, kind of like. I think a draw would be fine for them here. Like, I don't see them separating themselves. I just trust Rapids guys more, like, honestly. In attack, I think this could be a real slugfest as well. There's another high chance for rain and a storm here. And with the Yankees playing the day before, they're going to have to turn this field around quickly, which is not good for the field conditions. So the under could be a play here as well, but I just like Rapids more to get a point here, maybe steal the points. I still don't, like Nick Cushing as a coach, obviously. I mean, they've been on a really, really good run, so it's good for them, but I just don't see them continuing this, like, even though they are at home here, it would be an insane way to close out this stretch. But I think even a point here would be, I think they'd be content with that. And yeah, I'm going to take my chance here. I think this is a pretty good line for Colorado. I don't think they're going to have to travel far because they're just in Cincy, so I don't think they're going to be, back and forth. And yeah, I'm going to take a flyer here on the Rapids, who I usually don't like to touch, but I think the matchup and the situation here warrants it with the price. So the sixth and final play on the show for this week is between the Sounders and Galaxy, rematch from earlier this season, and I'm going to be taking Sounders team total over 1.5 for -125. Galaxy are missing Puig because of yellow card accumulation. He got 5, which means he gets suspended for 1 match. And Joveljic is pretty uncertain. He was injured last week. I don't really think he goes here. And I've already had my say about Miguel Berry, so that's that. But still, obviously, Galaxy can still score without them. I feel like they're still dangerous enough. So Sounders money line I think is sitting about even at time of recording, and it's kind of been around there, which I still think is good. I think Sounders still get the win here, but I think they will need 2. Honestly, I don't want to trust I would just rather take this team total. Galaxy obviously, as good as they are on offense, really bad on defense. Even with the key pieces, I don't really think they take a more like laid back approach. They're always going to be aggressive and susceptible at the back. So Sounders just played that like rematch or postponed game against Philly. Got a huge win on the road, 3-2 midweek on Tuesday, I think. So they're going to be buzzing over that. And then now they come back home. I don't think that little extra game is going to affect them in any way. And they have a really good, obviously, home environment. Obviously, the last time these two teams played, it was 1-0 for Galaxy, which was like their only clean sheet this season. Just a funny note there, I guess, but like I don't see that happening at all again. There could be rain in this one too, but I don't think it's gonna be that much or something like that's something that really messes up the field conditions like it did when they in that first game. That was kind of part of the reason it was 1-0. But yeah, I'm just trusting the offense here. I think they've been clicking a little more rather than getting the win. I think they still get the win, but Galaxy can never be counted out in terms of getting one on their end. Sounders, to their credit, have actually been really, really good defensively in the bottom half, trending towards the top half. I mean, trending towards the top third of the league in expected goals allowed, and they're in top third of their own expected goals per 90. So they've really been, clicking more as of late on the offensive end. And yeah, I think this is a really good spot to attack the Galaxy. They're just coming off that really bad loss to Austin. Still probably won't have their top striker back. Their main playmakers out, obviously, and yeah, now they have to travel once again to Seattle. I think it's a really good spot. The juice is kind of just at my limit, I guess. And yeah, I think two will probably really be needed for the Sounders to win here. And who knows? Maybe they'll pile it on because Galaxy's defense is just really that bad. Thanks again for tuning in and watching the show, guys. Really excited for this week again. And just to recap, I finally kind of crunched the numbers since it's been 6 weeks now of the show. And for the best bet plays, and the early episodes were I was just kind of giving picks on every game, but I still included best bets. I'm just going to be tracking the best bets here. And that's obviously now what we've transitioned to is just just my favorite plays, so tracking those. So yeah, through 6 weeks, 17-6-3 with the 3 being pushes, so money back. So 17-6 basically. 10.68 units, not a bad return at all, guys. We're after this week, we're gonna be through with 1/3 of the season. Since mostly every team's gonna be playing 11 games, and they play about 34. So essentially a third of the season through. And then after that, we'll have another recap of the how we're standing with our best bets. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good return so far. I've been liking most of the reads, and yeah, just I think this week is the potential for a really good week. Honestly, 6 plays is my most so far. I think I've given out in terms of best bets. I've usually given out like 4. Last week I did 5, and yeah, I think this is a really good week. Honestly, in terms of a neutral, there's some really intriguing matchups, and yeah, I'm just keep trying to run it up and you know stay positive and yeah, get the best value that we can. And I think we get some better information since the time of recording. We're kind of closer to these game days, a couple days away. So I think even so, we got pretty good prices here on most of these plays, and I'm really happy with where we're at. So once again, thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe, guys. Let me know what you think is going to happen this week with all these games, what your favorite games are, what your favorite bets are, if you decide to tail or not. And yeah, I'll see you again for week 12, guys. Peace out.